So, ladies and gentlemen, good old announcement from Viva la Trump. What's it going to be? Is it going to be on trade? We don't know. Is it going to be on US government shutdown story? We don't know. Is he going to be awarding anyone any medals? Don't know. Is he going to be appointing anyone? We don't know. What is this announcement going to be? Is it going to be on Bitcoin? I mean, come on, man. Anytime he talks about cryptocurrency, he doesn't really give us anything anyways. Regardless of whatever this announcement's going to be, these are the fundamentals that we have as we go into the marketplace today. Before we continue, welcome. My name is Tino, and you have just witnessed what it says up there. If you like and subscribe, you might be in on a little bit of flavor moving forward with any future live streams that I do. Anyway, just like and subscribe, man. It's free to do. It costs you nothing. And just do it at the end of the live if you enjoyed today's flavor. Now, with that being said, how do we approach today? Well, you've got to be very careful. We've had some great news regarding TSM. They've done really well. They've expanded on their growth forecast and expenditure forecast. So they're going to be spending money in the future. That's good news for us, because it means that money is getting invested in the AI marketplace. And we know from yesterday's live stream that the semiconductor sales and, of course, the actual behavior of the stock market is showing that it's actually growing and it's doing a good job. We've kind of dismissed the idea of CPI. What is that? Non-farm payrolls. Do we even care anymore? But interest rates are going down and gold is going up. I'm going to give you a few facts on how silver is actually outperforming Bitcoin. Thing hasn't moved for 50 years and it's now outperforming Bitcoin. Like, what's going on? Only fractionally, not even fractionally yet, but it's nearly there. But I'll be showing you that very shortly. That's some bad news, guys. James Wynn got liquidated. But we've also equally got some even interesting news. The insider, the short seller, is loaded up on a position. And when you marry up the idea that Trump's making an announcement, what does he know? I'm going to break it all down for you today, guys. So, welcome. My name is Tino. Again, let's have a conversation, man. Guys, if you're going to trade euro, be careful, because this story with the French prime minister and all of the stuff that's happening in government, it's getting a bit tricky trading the euro. So it's one of those. But it's the tech earnings that are fueling the move to the upside with regards to the NASDAQ. Going over to Bitcoin, it's currently forming the XRP formation. You can see that NASDAQ is doing okay, and it's doing a good job of starting to mark higher. Today, I'm going to wait and see what happens with the market. You know, when it comes to trading, what I do is I trade on the futures markets, and this is NASDAQ right now on the futures markets. To the left of you is the depth of market. Middle is the S&P, and this over here is the NASDAQ. What I actually look for is I look to identify where NASDAQ is relative to the value of price. And you on the left here, you can see that we are currently trading towards and around the value area high. For God's sake, it doesn't bloody do it. But yeah, anyways, basically, NASDAQ is currently trading towards the value area high. That's the highest point of the session. So it's already making a high, 25,099. So usually when price is in those regions, that's where I have to be careful. I don't buy at those points. I sell at those points. I look for shorts in those ranges. But because we've got this announcement coming out today, it might actually skew the idea of where price is likely to end up for NASDAQ. So we've got to be very careful with it, because they can go into the open today and pump price, right? Do we have a reason for that? Yes, we do. Why? TSM increases their revenue growth target and their capital spending. That means stocks are going to be doing well in the tech market today. They're gapping up. You've got Nvidia currently coming into play with some flavor to the upside. Where are we at? Here we go. So Nvidia is currently gapping up at the open. Microsoft gapping up at the open. Amazon up at the open. Google up at the open. All right, nearly coming in towards an all-time high. Google, that's very interesting. Meta coming in with a bit of a base, but they're just agreed to build a 10 terabyte, I think think it was 10 gigawatt factory for AI in data houses. So that's going to be interesting to say the least. And we've got a little bit of a base building here. And given that it is a very expensive stock, the more time they spend consolidating, the bigger the move to the upside is going to come into play. Now, gold. Hey, look at gold. My days. Look, silver on track to displace Bitcoin as the best performing asset for 2025. Who would you tell? Who would you tell that silver would be outperforming Bitcoin? The statistics are silver is catching up to Bitcoin after trading above $52 an ounce. Bitcoin, as part of the debasement trade, is showing some price weakness compared to silver and gold. Why? Because people believe that Bitcoin is too risky. Is Bitcoin risky? Well, look, when you've got price fluctuations like this, I mean, you've got to say to yourself, is it a risky asset? Then when it has the day off and does nothing, and I know, you know what, you guys have been with me for a long time and I've got mad love and respect for everyone that comes through and that's been in the trader's reality world for the past 5 years nearly, okay? But when we see Bitcoin stalling at the psychological ranges, it literally is a 50-50. Look at how it behaves overall when you see it moving away from the psychological ranges over the week. When it moves away from it at the start of the week, you can usually assume it's going to keep on doing it. For example, look at this. This is Monday, and this is where the psychological ranges get formed on Bitcoin. When it moves away from the Asian session range on a Monday and it trades into it to bounce away, then you can assume the rest of the week is going to be the same thing. There, right there, moves away from it, retrace, and then it just continues away from the psychological ranges, okay? Because the psychological range is the first high and the first low that's formed at the start of a trading week. Now, when we look at the current trading week, you can see Bitcoin hasn't done anything. It shows that it's sold above the psychological ranges, and we've got a problem with this wick down here. Equally, sad days for our friend. Where's our friend? Here we go. So that's his. Oh, my days. That's James Wynn's portfolio right now. He's actually withdrew everything. He made the withdrawal. So he lost on the Bepe short. He lost 50 racks on the Bepe short. He got liquidated on Bitcoin. But then we've got this problem here. Courtesy of who posted it, Crypto Banter's put it up, saying that the insider short position is $127 million at the top. He's 20x cross, value $127 million, and he is currently short on Bitcoin, and Trump is going to make an announcement today at 3 p.m. As you can see here, we've got his roll call right there. He's making an announcement at 3 p.m., but he's going to be getting his intelligence briefing at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard, so in the next 2 hours or so. All right, so you can appreciate that the market might be a little bit tricky to trade, which is why I'm sat on the sidelines right now, because I'm looking at options, okay? And I'm playing the dailies on the NASDAQ, and I'm seeing the premiums and the strike prices. They are a little bit high for me, and I'm not really too keen on getting involved in it right now until I know exactly where we stand with it. The story for me is if we start seeing everything pumping up right now, that is a signal for me to tell me that things might get a little bit messy later on. But you could get the NASDAQ just trading sideways for the day until Trump makes the announcement. So you can see we've got a range to the upside, you've got a range to the downside, you've got imbalances down here, you've got imbalances up here, and the optimism across the board is that tech is doing good. So we are dealt with the idea that if tech's doing good and we've got interest rates being cut, that would be the macroeconomic data that suggests that earnings are doing well for tech companies. That means investors are going to be investing in the tech market. So that's going to naturally then lead prices to increase to the upside. Equally, you've got the interest rate story showing that we are going to get more cuts. Apparently, one of the Fed speakers said this week that we could be in line for 2 solid rate cuts this year. So that could easily bring us down to around the 3.75%, which is what they are expecting in terms of the Fed bets and the swap traders. However, you've got Trump making an announcement. We don't know where we are with the trade with China. We do not know. There could be a major announcement. And remember, this is what you've got to understand. The more tariffs that Trump puts out there, the more money the US makes. Don't care about other things. He wants to make money for the US. He doesn't want to feel like the US is being violated in terms of trade. And the only place that's violating Trump and the US is China in terms of trade. He wants to put an end to that. Now, there was talks yesterday of a crazy 500% tariff If they declare that they're going to put a tariff of that amount for China to play ball, your market will sink. It will sink. It really will. We're going to hope today, because if you look at the chain of events, Trump said, we're going to put tariffs on China of 100%. Equally, China's now come out and said that they're putting out restrictions on certain ships, okay? They're doing all sorts of things with the rare earth metals. Remember what I spoke about the rare earth metal market a few years ago? How they put a cap on the export of rare earth metals of around 60%? They cap the rare earth metal marketplace. That means all of your phones, your computers, the materials required to make that stuff, there was a cap on the exports of 60% back then. That inflated the prices, and the US didn't like it. So all we've got is bad news from China. What's Trump going to do? He's not going to turn around and be like, sorry, we won't put a tariff on you. No, in terms of the art of the deal, you got to come back even better. You got to counter. And the counter offer would be more tariffs. That's what we could be getting into today, ladies and gentlemen. This is where you start to understand your intuition in the marketplace. There's price action, there's all of that, but then you've got to understand what's moving the market right now. It's not technical analysis. No. Tell me what Fibonacci level gold is moving up to. What ratio is it moving to? Is it the 17.164357? What is it? It's just going up. Oh, it's because the moving averages are going upwards. BS. It's going up because the expectation of interest rates are coming down. It's going up because investors are seeking safety. It's going up because there's still tensions overseas. It's all being driven via sentiment. And I'll say this again. Bitcoin could be the true representation of sentiment. Why? Because given that it is a riskier asset class, if everything should be going well for Bitcoin, because you've got this article right here. It says here, gold rises, Bitcoin falls. Is the debasement trade cracking or evolving? Now, I'm not talking down about Bitcoin, but Bitcoin has yet to experience the truth of its worth. It hasn't yet. It really hasn't. Because once gold starts to pull back, then that means what? We know where we are with interest rates. We don't have any problems overseas, geopolitical, okay? We know where we are with debt. We know where we are with inflation. We can set the tone. So why would you need to hedge yourself in gold? So then guess what you're going to do? You're going to then rotate your money out of gold, and then you're going to pile into risk on assets. That's when Bitcoin starts to move. So that's what I'm saying. Bitcoin could be the representation of where investors' heads are at with Bitcoin in terms of risk. Now, you Bitcoin maxis and all you guys that are like, oh, Tino, Bitcoin, says here, analysts question Bitcoin's safe haven status amid rising macro stress and crypto volatility. Bitcoin never gave a damn about interest rates. Bitcoin never gave a damn about the idea of anything, okay? Why would Bitcoin move on non-farm payrolls? What does that have to do with anything to do with Bitcoin? When the idea of it is decentralization, when the idea of it is to come away from the conventional system that is broken to then replace it as the king of currency. Now, you get CPI data and Bitcoin slumps. You get JOLTS job openings report, Bitcoin slumps. What the hell? So how can it be decentralization when it's being reflective of people's opinion of centralized way of doing things? Doesn't make sense, does it? Which means that Bitcoin in principle, once everything starts to transition to risk on, Bitcoin will come back up. It's going to play out. It will, okay? But it hasn't been given the opportunity to yet because legacy market traders, Wall Street, they're still stuck in their ways, which explains why Bitcoin's price and gold, all right, there's no correlation right now. That is sad. That is sad. Just to put it into perspective, okay? Let's just now do this, just to help you understand it. Let's go with BTC, USDT from a visual perspective. How dead is that? Bitcoin makes an all-time high. Gold says no, thank you, and continues. All right? Bitcoin makes another all-time high at 117,000. Gold says no, thank you, continues. You know? So, yeah, you could say there is a bit of a debasement, but all it is the priority is changing. That's all it is. It's just priorities are changing. Your ETF is made up of Wall Street traders, okay? That means Wall Street mentality. Cryptocurrency doesn't have Wall Street mentality in the sense, or crypto mentality. Right? So when you don't have Wall Street mentality in crypto, right, then that means it's prone to Wall Street mentality. That's all. So if they want safety, they go to gold. You can bang on about Bitcoin as much as you want. This is clear as day that they're not interested in it. But they're marking it down. They're accumulating. So what they're doing is they're protecting themselves up here. Once they've hedged themselves and they've protected their portfolios, what are they going to do with the money afterwards? Well, Bitcoin would have then slumped, but then it would have been picked up on a discount. Bitcoin then takes claim to the upside. Then gold starts to consolidate and pull back. Why? Because we don't need to protect ourselves anymore. We've covered ourselves from the interest rate cuts. We've covered ourselves from geopolitical events and happy days. So even though it looks like Bitcoin is taking a shoe bag to the downside and it's just losing itself and crypto is done, the bigger picture suggests that investors are just changing their priorities, which means they're going into risk-free, not risk-free, but less averse. They're going into safer havens, for the better word. And that's what Bitcoin's going through an identity crisis. Safe haven, hedge against inflation, risk on, risk off. Okay? It's not established anything yet in comparison to something. If gold was down and Bitcoin was up, congratulations. You would see that and say, Bitcoin is the king. Bitcoin is the hedge. Bitcoin is the protection. But it's not. Probably at this time here, when gold was consolidating in and around that 3K range, Bitcoin was taking the glory because it was making highs. Okay? But it's a different story now. Okay? Now, let's get rid of that. Okay then, cool. Where are we at with other items? Trump's made a lot of money on cryptocurrency. Congratulations, Trump. It's mad that they just declare it like that. I think it's just absolutely brilliant. Let's go and have a look at the ETFs to understand where we are. What time are we on? 50 minutes. Cool. All right. So 3 hours ago, haven't really had any activity on the ETF. Just to refresh this, just to make sure that we are with where we are with it. Yeah, no real activity on the ETF right now. All right. So inflows. Yeah, not really great for inflows right there. And going into the outflow. 3 hours ago, yeah, not really any great activity other than from yesterday's 12 hours ago when they were selling off quite a bit of the ETF. Quickly going into the in the open interest. Again, no real option activities coming into play. We've got $500 million down here. There, yeah, 549 million in open interest. It's not really grabbing my attention. It's going into the liquidations over here. We've got a cluster of long liquidations all the way down here that reached to around 109,250. Going into the order flow, you can see that we're stuck in the middle yet again, where you've got bids and offers coming into action, both sides on that range. Quickly going over into Ethereum to understand where we are with that logic as well. We can see we've got, yeah, again, we've got very close areas of offers and bids. Bids are like tapering off a little bit, but when you zoom out, you can see that the dominant side to it all, relative to where price action is in reference to the orders, is the bid side. Okay, so there's quite a few bids coming into play as opposed to offers. You can see there's gaps inside of the order flow here where there's no commitment from anyone to offer anything, as in sell their Ethereum to the upside. That's what you do. You buy an investment low and you sell it high. There's more commitment to the downside with that logic. Quickly going over into Solana to break that logic down as well. I've said this before, right? But the problem that I've got with crypto right now is this. Solana has left... Look, let me just bring you price action just to help you visually see it. Bitcoin is the only one that hasn't recovered the majority of the wick, okay? Solana has effectively recovered the wick and it's moved away from it. That's good news, but it's left us vector candles down here. Thirdly, Ethereum. She hasn't fully recovered the wick, but she's done a good job of recovering the majority of it, and she's left a little bit behind. My concern is that if Bitcoin hasn't even bothered with the wick, okay, then it means that there's a possibility Bitcoin could be going to recover that wick, which will then drag Ethereum and Solana further to the downside. As long as dominance is pretty much where it's at, I mean, if we do get any more spikes in Bitcoin, then of course we got ourselves a bit of a problem. But my concern is this wick down here. It's a problem for me because I know there's liquidity down there, and you can just back that up by looking at the order flow of people who are committed to purchase in those zones. Look, let's just zoom out, have a look. What you got down here? At the low point, you got 32 million at 102,808. Going further, you got 5 million at 103,310. And you got another 5 million there. And then we go down, got 10 million. Yeah, 10 million just about. Let me just get the large order flow. Here we go, large limit orders. So the limit orders themselves going all the way down to 103,000. No, keep going. 108. Biggest order right now I can see is for 8 million. And that was at 107,725. Then you got 107,600. Sorry, yeah, 107,715. You got 6.2 million there, 6.62 million. All right, so those are the big limit orders that are currently in the book. But as you go further down, you can see that you got 32 million at 102,888. Now, if you take the idea of this announcement by Trump, if he gives us any bad news regarding trade, ladies and gentlemen, it's all just going to come collapsing. It really is. You know, so that's the problem we've got. Any questions? What you got here? All right. Tom Lee will be correct. Oh, okay. Here's something interesting. Tom Lee will be correct that ETH is set to fly because of falling Bitcoin dominance has historically signaled a rotational shift of capital from Bitcoin into altcoins, triggering an alt season. Okay. But if your cryptocurrency, okay, I'm not trying to fight the idea of an altcoin, okay? I hold XRP. But what I'm trying to say to you is to get you understand the logic. The idea of Bitcoin dominance, altcoin dominance, okay? The only reason why altcoins will go up is one of two things. People in cryptocurrency plowing into altcoins, and the guys in crypto get rid of their crypto from Bitcoin and then transition over to altcoins, okay? That's number one. Now, we've been waiting for that, and no one's done it yet, okay? Two, the idea now that Ethereum is going to go up to about 10,000 to 12,000. That's what Tom Lee said. That's what he expects. Over what time frame? He expects it to happen very soon, okay? But not until there is a clear rotation from Wall Street. Remember, the ETF is what's going to fuel Ethereum to move to the upside, all right? If you go and have a look at all the treasuries, okay, of cryptocurrency, these are the crypto ETFs, the 10 biggest funds. You know them, okay? So we've got iShares, you've got Fidelity, you've got Grayscale, you've got ARK, you've got Bitwise, okay? And then you've got, okay, Van Eck, you've got Franklin, iShares Ethereum Trust, okay? So it's all there. And then when you go to Bitmines, okay, where Bitmines themselves is Bitmine Immersion Tech, this is the company that Tom Lee is invested in to create an Ethereum Trust, okay? So you could just safely say that it's just in its infantile stages, all right? Even though he is buying quite a bit of Ethereum, he's prepared to take that bet. So any price fluctuations in Ethereum, they're not really going to rock him. It's just going to encourage him to buy more, all right? But the problem we've got is this. Bitcoin only went, and I want to know if you agree with me. Type 1 if you agree, type 2 if you disagree. But Bitcoin only has made these movements to the upside because of Wall Street. Agree to disagree? What is it? Do you believe Bitcoin has gone up because of Wall Street? Or do you believe Bitcoin has gone up because of people in crypto? Because if it was because of people in crypto, we should have hit 100K a long time ago. If you want to see the proof in my answer, Bitcoin has gone up because of Wall Street. Simple as. Who's saying two? Let's be honest. Show me that there's anyone out there in crypto that is playing these sort of balances, okay, that are bigger than the balances behind these companies. This is not a company that buys and sells the Bitcoin ETF. It's a representation of. That means it's opened up to Wall Street, Wall Street, Wall Street, Wall Street, Wall Street. It's not no dude on X with a random username that's got 6,000 Bitcoin, okay? There's 800,000 Bitcoin there, 200,000 there, 174,000 there. We're dealing with institutional players that will decide if Bitcoin's going to go up or down. And the clear demonstration of that is here with Bitcoin's price here and gold's price here. We ain't shit without Wall Street. And that's the sad truth. So for every endorsement that cryptocurrency gets, Whether it's Bitcoin Treasury, whether it's all of this, even the 4-year cycle is being challenged now. Is it a thing or not? Okay, I don't see anyone talking about it. I don't see any of it. There is a change in crypto right now. It's not the same crypto that you thought it was. It's not. Because you've got different powers that come with different strategies. Here's an example. Crypto guy. Hey, man, moon, parabolic. This is the terminology. Moon, parabolic, Chad, okay? Hodl, diamond hands. That's your crypto guy, okay? Now, let's talk about Wall Street, hedging, equity, strategies, algorithmic, reversions to the mean, all right? Shorts, longs, ETFs, bonds, Forex, yield, okay? Shareholder interest, cash, okay? Gamma strategies, gamma, negative gamma, all right? Delta neutral. This is what you're up against. So then you get the moon, parabolic, hodl, diamond hands, then all of these strategies that Wall Street are coming to crypto with. Fuck! How are you going to compete? Sad truth is we need Wall Street more than we realize, all right? All I say to you all is ride the gravy train as much as you can, because when Bitcoin becomes a store of value, then Bitcoin will be trading like XRP and it will go nowhere because they'll just keep it in a nice tight range. So try and take advantage of the fact that Bitcoin is behaving like a meme coin, okay? Because it's going to get to a point where it just goes nowhere. And then it will be the hedge. Then it will be the store of value, because so many big players will be holding so much of it that retail will then be told, you can't buy any of these. You can't buy contracts, X, Y, and Z. Exchanges will be limiting people to be able to purchase the Bitcoin, because then it will be a bigger player purchase. Go and buy yourselves a share of Berkshire and Hathaway, ladies and gentlemen. I dare you. Go on. Here you go. Let's all go and buy a share in Berkshire and Hathaway. Here we go. $744,040 a share. That is a store of value. It is. Nearly $1 million a share, man. That's what we want Bitcoin to be. But when it gets there, it'll have a very low market cap comparison to everything else. All right. And investors, big boys, will be maneuvering Bitcoin. And then that's my logic. It might not be something you want to hear, guys, but it's the truth. That's what we've got to understand. Okay. Anything else? Traders Reality, Pumpermentals and Dumb Bears, all you need. Yeah, okay. Anything else? Give me something else. Give me something else. How many of you have actually, can you see this screen? Have you liked? Have you subscribed? Is there any flavor from you guys? I give you flavor. I'm joking. No, just like. Anyway, how long do you think it will take? Man, how long would I think? Listen, this is what I think about people that will then give these price projections. I believe Bitcoin should go to this. When Tom Lee says that he believes something, I listen, okay? You have to factor in certain time frames, okay? But when Tom Lee says something, I listen to that guy, because he is, who the flip is that? But I listen to what he has to say, okay? Because he's been doing great at calling certain directions in the marketplace, all right? But we've got major events unfolding. And one event that I'm just going to give you, I'm going to give it to you now. I said to the Platinum members last night, this is what I think is going to happen, but I'm putting it out now. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Bank of Japan's increase rates target. Bank of Japan price of the yen will go towards 0.0682 at some point when they increase the interest rate. That is going to be a problem. And again, I said it last night. Bessent said last night in his little meetings on CNBC, Bloomberg, wherever he was, he said, as long as Bank of Japan maintain the correct policy, things will be good. He underlined said that they should be increasing their interest rates. We could be going into the next event. This is why gold's still going up, because they know that that's pending. All right? So keep that in mind. I thought I'd say that right now. Hold on. Who said no trading today? Then the night stream shows 200 trades and made. Yeah, I know. Look, guys, when I say I'm not going to trade, okay, I tell myself that because I have to maintain a level of discipline. But equally in trading, you have to know when to stick by the rules and then you have to know when to break the rules, okay? If I see an opportunity, I'm impulsive. I will take it, okay? If you go to Bitcoin right now, you then say to yourself, okay, what's Bitcoin doing? Bitcoin's doing nothing. The market ain't even open yet, but Bitcoin's doing nothing, and it will probably be do nothing. Okay, Nasdaq. What's big Nasdaq doing right now? And this is what you got to do when you start your trading day. Nasdaq is trading towards the value area highs of the day. Okay, so cool. We know we're at the highest point of the day's range so far. Okay, where are we at with the VIX? Volatility index is trading a little bit sideways with the promise of it going up a little bit, maybe. So we got to pay attention to the volatility index. Where's the bonds? What is James Bond doing? Currently trading negative. Bit of a problem because if it's going down and the yields are moving up, but the stock market is showing signs of moving higher, does it mean it's risk on? Do they want to take on risk? But we've got a big Trump announcement later on. What's he going to say? That's going to distort the market. Now, the problem that I've got is this. In terms of options, the expiry, okay, finishes at 20:59 today for me. So if I open a trade now, I've got until 9 o'clock tonight to close off the option, okay? Or whatever position it's at that time, it will just close off my account, right? Problem is, if Trump's going to be speaking at 3 p.m., okay, Eastern Standard, well, that doesn't really give me that much time in the marketplace. It really doesn't, because that's 8 p.m. for me, okay? So I'm only going to have 1 hour of volatility. No, thank you. I have to protect myself, which means that I may not place any trades today, because if his announcement's coming out at 3, that means I've only got really an hour to decide if it's good news or bad news, okay? And then equally, if I open the options position, I might not be able to cover the spread at speed, okay? So then I put myself in a bit of a tricky situation. So it all depends on how NASDAQ behaves now going in towards that announcement. Because if it's good news, everything should drop now. If it's bad news, everything should rise now. But no one flipping knows. I just need to say to myself, you know what? Wait until he actually tells us what we need to know. Trade the Asian session. Simple as. All right? And I think you guys probably should do the same thing because we just don't know what Trump is going to say. Which then means I leave you with safety, mad love, respect. I'll be tuning into you all later on when we find out what Trump has actually said to us all. All right? Take care of yourselves, gang. Mad love and respect. Please look at the TV, and I'll be checking in with you all later. Just like and subscribe, man. It's just long setting that up every single morning. Just